Tom Loeffler, I just had the conversation, we spoke about it with Jonathan Banks about everything what went down when Klitschko fought Tyson Fury. And we are talking about Klitschko because yesterday's press conference and everything, the narrative, every time goes back to this fight. I mean, Tyson Fury was built by beating
he was the
Wladimir
first one to beat legendary Wladimir Klitschko. He had such a historic heavyweight championship run. Tyson Fury was the first one to have beaten him on that run. So there were a lot of factors involved that night.
We just heard about it.
Yeah. So, but look, you can't take anything away from Fury. He did something that nobody else had done in that era, and I think with that experience, I think he's going to take that experience and take it into this Deontay Wilder fight.
Sounds like you favorite on Saturday. It's Tyson Fury.
Well, it's hard to Here's the thing. Deontay Wilder has an eraser punch. He's got that right hand that can change a fight at any given time. We saw that with the Luis Ortiz fight. I think Tyson Fury is a completely different fighter than anyone that Wilder has fought before. He's not afraid of anyone. He's not intimidated of anyone.
But he's not. Sorry for interrupting, but we all assuming that he's gonna be close to what he was when he fought Wladimir Klitschko.
If he's close,
do we know?
If he's close to where he was with Wladimir, then look, I would say Fury has a very good chance of winning that fight. In spite of Deontay's punching power, I think Fury really, especially with the work he did in Big Bear, now he's working with Freddie. Like I said, he's not intimidated. He fought Wladimir in Germany. He's fighting Deontay over here, even though this isn't Deontay's hometown. It's still, he's fighting him in America. And one thing about Tyson is he'll never back down. So, if he's close to where he was against Wladimir, I give him a good shot of winning that fight. And like he says, he keeps reminding everyone he is a lineal heavyweight champion. So he beat the guy that beat the guy. And I think Wladimir still, if he ever wanted to fight again, he could still beat, pretty much everyone that he wanted to, and he came very close to beating Joshua. But it's funny, when we were doing all the sparring partners for Vladimir's training camp, Tyson Fury was there. He didn't spar with Wladimir, but he was there with Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel had pegged him as one of the future champions, which Emmanuel was right.
When was it?
That was a while ago, maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, something like that.
So he did recognize in Tyson Fury the guy who can beat a man.
He brought Tyson specifically to Vladimir's training camp, wanted to show him how the heavyweight champion trained at the time. Wladimir always, both Wladimir and Vitaly had a beautiful setting up there in the Austrian Alps, right by Kitzbühel.
Going?
Going, yeah, that's right. In Going, Austria, the Stangelwert Hotel, one of the best places I've ever been to. And
Wilder was also there, correct?
Sorry?
Wilder was also in the training camp.
Deontay Wilder was a sparring partner for Wladimir, and I think Wladimir showed him, the difference where they were at that time. But Deontay,
which was, sorry for interrupting, but the timeline is important. I mean, Deontay was there. Could you remember the date? How many years ago?
I'd have to look back, but it must have been when Wladimir was fighting a tall guy. Maybe when he was fighting Marius Wach, it could have been. There was a big difference at that time. Naturally, Deontay didn't have the experience Wladimir had, and that was the thing. The sparring partners loved coming to the Klitschko training camp because they learned so much, both from Wladimir, from Vitaly, not only in the ring but outside the ring, just as how they carried themselves as a champion and the training methods and the training techniques, and they saw, okay, this is what these guys do as heavyweight champions, this is what I have to do to get to that level. And I think Deontay took a lot of experience from that. He's got the punching power, certainly with all the knockouts that he has. So I think both Tyson Fury and Wladimir learned a lot. Anthony Joshua had been in the camp also. We had Anthony Joshua as a sparring partner. So, the Klitschko era really developed a lot of these guys now that are champions.
this is one of those things which we don't hear a lot. I appreciated Tom reminding us.
Behind the scenes with the Klitschko camp.
Behind the scenes, I mean, you just mentioned Deontay Wilder, WBC champion.
Yes.
Tyson Fury, he didn't spar, but he was there. He was looking the work ethics. He was learning.
Yep.
Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly. I mean, who wasn't there?
And Anthony Joshua, like I said.
Anthony Joshua.
He was there, yeah. And, it's you can name the who's who of the heavyweight division, and they were up there training with Jarrell Miller was up there as a sparring partner. Like I said, you can go down the list.
They're not talking a lot about it. Were there any knockouts? We don't know about it because some of those guys are like, oh, I was there, I don't remember well.
The funny thing is, Wladimir liked to show the guys there that he was heavyweight champion. He definitely sparred pretty hard. Vitaly was one of those guys, a little bit more like he wanted to work on certain things, didn't care. Sometimes a sparring partner will get the better of you one day and then not the next day. But Wladimir always wanted to prove that he was the heavyweight champion, whether it was in a fight or in sparring. And so there's a lot of guys that didn't last too long up there with Wladimir. In fact, Jonathan will probably tell you it's the most out of any boxer I ever worked with. We had the most sparring partners for Wladimir. Usually the average between 10 and 12 sparring partners.
One camp?
In one camp.
Yeah, this is
and
Guinness Book of Records.
And a lot of them only lasted 1 week. Some of them only lasted, two sparring sessions. So, there's a lot of stories from up there. James Ali Bashir was up there. Naturally, Emmanuel Stewart was there. Fritz Stunig, Vitaly's trainer, was up there. So there's some legendary sparrings.
But whatever happens in going stays in going.
Yeah, it's on videotape. Dave Williams probably has the tapes of that sparring. But those sparring sessions, like the Joshua sparring session, like the Deontay Wilder sparring sessions, Jarrell Miller, I mean, those would be very interesting. I'm sure it would be interesting for a lot of people to go back and look at those. But just overall, it was a great experience. Every Klitschko fight, whether they were fighting the big soccer stadiums in Germany, in Poland, when Vitaly fought Adamek, that was in the brand new stadium in Wrocław. When Wladimir fought Povetkin in Moscow. There's so many legendary nights when he fought David Hay at that terrible rainy night in Hamburg soccer stadium. I remember that. I got deathly ill during that fight just because it was windy and rainy and.
I remember one of them were wearing like a plastic. David Hay, I think.
Yeah.
Was wearing like a.
Yeah. It was the Hay fight in Hamburg, and he was walking out to the ring. He had the plastic, and then we had the fights at Schalke. That was the covered stadium, and RTL, the German broadcaster, they had the big fireworks display. If you can imagine this, Peter, they had the fireworks display in the stadium, and the fireworks would explode right underneath the roof.
Will not happen in the United States of America. I doubt it.
They had it planned out. They had it planned out pretty good. The whole ring entrance. They had the legendary Klitschko ring entrances and RTL's production. HBO showed almost every fight from over there. So that was the Klitschko era spanned for so long that, like I said, there were so many talented, all these top 10, all these champions were up there in the Klitschko training camps.
About a week ago, and I'm going to finish because thank you very much for your time. You're busy. The event is coming on December 8th.
December 8th, Cecilia Brækhus, the first female champion ever to headline HBO.
And this will be one of my questions for you afterwards. But now I want to ask you about one thing. It's about a week ago.
Yes.
There was a rumor, supposedly coming from Vladimir's camp, that maybe he's thinking about going back. He issued denial. No, I'm not thinking about it. I am a successful businessman. Your own personal opinion about your friend.
I think everyone that knows Wladimir intimately in terms of having worked with him knows he could still beat all these guys, or almost all these guys.
You believe so?
I believe.
Give him 10-week training and he goes and.
If Wladimir has a full training camp, I think he can beat these guys. But he's the one in the ring. He's the one taking the punches. He's the one that got hit by that big uppercut by Joshua. That he was stopped on his feet, not on the canvas with. So, look, it's Vladimir's decision. We support him, whatever decision he makes. When you've done so many Klitschko fights in such, so many different settings, so many, big arenas. He sold out Madison Square Garden. They fought in Las Vegas. Like I said, all the European stadiums that they fought at. It's hard to let that go, but you got to respect his decision. I just saw Wladimir in Los Angeles about 2 weeks ago, and he looked the most relaxed, the happiest I've seen him. Just happy with what he's doing. He's got a lot of investments that he's working on, real estate investments. He owns one of the highest-rated boutique hotels in Europe. It's based in Kiev. It's the 11 Mirrors Hotel. I think it won the award for the best boutique hotel. And so he's really happy with what he's doing, and he's probably happy that he doesn't have to get hit in the head anymore. But you still see him. He was telling me that he still stays in shape.
Is he watching boxing?
He watches guys like Usyk, who follow Usyk naturally, who Usyk has turned out to be one of the top guys in the sport of boxing, if not the top guy, with all the guys that he beat this year. He's got to be fighter of the year this year.
No doubt.
With his 3 wins that Usyk has. So he follows boxing. He doesn't really like to go to boxing events, but he follows it, and he's had both Wladimir and Vitaly had so much of an effect and inspiration for a lot of these guys out there that it's that Klitschko era, the Klitschko name is going to live on for a long time. Vladimir's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Vitaly, with his big comeback against Sam Peter, being out of the ring for 4 years, coming back, winning his title back by knockout in impressive fashion in Berlin, Germany. I mean, most guys, if they're off for a year, they want tune-up fights. They want 2-3 tune-up fights, and then get into a competitive fight. And Vitaly didn't care. I mean, he has a lot in common with Fury. Doesn't care. He didn't care where he fought. He didn't care who he fought. He wasn't intimidated. Vitaly once told me a story that he when he was growing up on the military bases, that sometimes he got to a new military base and there were like guys surrounding him trying to test him. So he's like, look, Tom, if I only have to fight one guy in the ring, it's no problem for me. So that was an interesting story. That Vitaly really was one of those guys that wasn't afraid of anything. And you see now, as the mayor of Kiev, the battles that he has to go through. It's probably a much tougher battle for him in politics, everything that's going on between Ukraine and Russia, than when he was in the ring as a heavyweight champion. So, so much credit to both Wladimir and Vitaly, what they've accomplished. And you see now, you see the heavyweight division with Fury and Deontay Wilder. I mean, these are the type of fights that have come out of that Klitschko era. And Anthony Joshua, what he's doing, selling out soccer stadiums. Doesn't matter who Joshua fights. Sells out every stadium in the UK. So, I think the heavyweight division is definitely thriving. And I'll be excited to see that fight on Saturday night.